So this is an emergency episode of the shiny side. We have big news coming out of Pakistan cricket. Babar Azam stepped down as captain across all three formats. He announced it in an Instagram, Facebook, Twitter post. This happened soon after he had met the chairman PCB, and within 2 hours we have a new T20 captain in Shaheen Afridi, and we have a new Test captain in Shan. I have with me to kind of, I guess, react to all of this, Umar, Basir, and Umair Qazi. Omer, what's your sentiment initially at the news? I mean, we're still coming. There's still more news coming in, by the way. And sorry, Mohammad Hafiz has also been appointed director cricket. There may be more news before this be done doing the show. But Omer, you want to go first?
Yeah. So look, the writing was on the wall. I think they had decided mid-tournament, mid-World Cup, that they were going to replace Babar Azam. There were lots of noises about Shaheen and Rizwan and God knows who else. Look, I'm sad. I'm sad that Babar has had to go this way. Fine, his captaincy left a lot to be desired, but he is today the most respected Pakistani cricketer out there. He's respected by the players, maybe not by the fans, but majority of the fans, I would like to say. Some of the comments I hear about him from fans are just deplorable. You know, but yeah, I mean, look, he's a great asset to Pakistan cricket, and maybe it's a good thing that he will get to concentrate on his batting from here on. But look, his overall captaincy record isn't that bad. When you look at his win-loss records in Tests, ODIs, and T20s, it's 1.8 plus across the board. And fine, maybe he's played weaker teams, maybe he's played second-string teams, whatever the case. He has a good win-loss record. When it comes to T20 cricket, he's led you to a World Cup final and a World Cup semi-final and an Asia Cup final. So phenomenal, I would say. Fine, he has not won any trophy, but which Pakistani captains have? You know, three of them in 50 years. But anyway, Test, well, we were still in a rebuilding phase, still are in a rebuilding phase in Test cricket. And ODI, this was his first World Cup. And he took the team to #1 ranking, irrespective of how you got there. You got there, which no other captain had done in the past. And you had a bad World Cup, and poor guy had to resign, fine. But then the choices. You've gone with Shan as Test captain. Here's someone who has played Test cricket for Pakistan for the past 10 years, in and out of the team, averages 28 in Test cricket. He has 150 plus score in his last 15 Test innings, and that being 51. And you make him Test captain. I mean, why? What credential? His first class, he does not average above 40 in first class cricket. I mean, what are his credentials? Why are you making him captain? It makes no sense to me. Then you have Shaheen Afridi as the T20 captain, which is more, I mean, this is more concerning for me because a couple of reasons. Shaheen is your only bowler who plays all three formats of cricket. He plays Tests, he plays T20s, he plays ODIs. Okay, you don't play another ODI for another year now, but you'll play 2 to 3 Tests in Australia. Then you have 19 T20 internationals leading up to the T20 World Cup in June. Shaheen is going to play all of them. If he plays all of them, he will be toasted by the time the World T20 comes in June. And if he rests or gets injured, then who captains? So you have Shan captaining Tests, and you have Shaheen captaining T20s, and then maybe Shaheen not playing a few of them, and you have another captain who we don't know because vice captain has not been announced. So confusion galore, but Pakistan cricket has a lot of issues. Captaincy was a very small issue out of those. I don't think. Well, let's hope. Let's see what the future holds.
Well, let's see. And I think one more thing, Omar. I think when the announcement came out, so my thought was, in fact, when I thought we'll do this show, I thought, okay, we talk about whether Babar resigned himself or whether he was asked to step down. Apparently, constitutionally, this board does not have the power to remove anybody. But if the captain resigns himself, they can appoint somebody new. But the fact that they announced the other two captains within 2 hours of Babar stepping down, so A, he didn't resign himself. B, they didn't even want to give the impression he resigned himself. They wanted to make sure that it looked like they changed him as opposed to giving him the space or having the grace to give him the space to make it look like he stepped down. And you know, they could have appointed somebody 4 days later. Wouldn't have made a difference, really. But anyway, Omar, how do you see all of this?
Hey, man, they're an amazing run organization that had great succession plans in place, and they just executed. Come on, there's option C as well, please. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, I think the writing was on the wall. And first of all, you know, our departure from the World Cup had nothing to do with bad captaincy, right? There was lack of performance, specifically bowling, and injuries to key players, and just overall a bunch of different factors coming together. So for Babar being made the scapegoat for that, again, it's more of a management or PCB showing, hey, look, we're reacting and we're making changes. But in at the end of the day, it's not what's going to turn this team around. There's other things that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something reactionary, something that I think mid-World Cup, unfortunately, all these rumors had already started coming up, which is never a good thing. And yeah, I think, like you said, they didn't really have the power, but they did have the power, right? And they made it happen. Although they tried to make it seem it wasn't something they were doing. All in all, I mean, I think he was never the best captain out there. He was definitely in a learning phase. Very shocked that he was removed as T20 captain, given the World Cup sort of around the corner, and given that we've done really, really well. And if there's one format where, in my personal opinion, you can get away by not being the best captain, it's probably T20, where there's only a couple of different strings you got to pull to do things. Tests and ODI cricket, honestly, I do think there was a lot of room for improvement, but then again, also a bit shocked at the replacement for Test cricket.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Umair's already gone on about Shan's credentials, right? I think this is also a lot of it is actually a power play, right? So if you want to actually limit power, right, you will have separate captains, and B, you will have weaker captains. If you have somebody whose place in the team is 100% there, they will always be a stronger captain, right? And if they made, and I'm not saying for a second they should have, but had they made Shaheen across both formats, he would have become, again, from a strong Babar to a strong Shaheen. But by doing this, no one is really strong. They haven't appointed an ODI captain, which, to be fair, I think is the right thing to do. Probably the only thing they've done right in this situation. But I think it's a clear power play where they don't want to appoint the same person and have somebody there whose own place is kind of dependent on the captaincy, right? So he will always toe the board's line. But and also I think what's really sad is how this has all come out in the last few days anyway, right? So the writing was on the wall. I mean, I think there's a I would say a notorious sport journalist called Yahya Hosseini who tweeted this last night, this exact same announcement that happened. He's known to be close to Yunus Khan, who was meeting the PCB chairman yesterday. So I'm guessing that's how that information filtered out. Hafiz has been made director cricket. Now, director cricket in most other countries so I know Mickey Arthur was director cricket. The structure was odd. A director cricket normally is somebody who manages all things cricket for the board. So the selectors and the coaches report into him. We're still not clear if he's going to be a director like Mickey Arthur was, where only he's essentially above the coach, but not really over anything else, or he'll be like a wider director cricket where he'll be in the boardroom and he'll select he'll have the selectors and the coach under him. Omer, do we have any visibility on this right now, or we don't at the moment?
I'm not sure. All I know is that he's replaced Mickey Arthur. So Mickey Arthur is gone. Morne Morkel had already resigned, so they're looking for a bowling coach. The other news coming in is that Shahid Afridi is going to be announced chief selector, and Yunus Khan is going to be announced batting coach. So this hasn't been confirmed yet, but the news has just been tweeted by some of our renowned journalists, and the same people who tweeted that Shan and Shaheen would be made captain before it actually happened. So I'm not sure what role Hafiz will have, but let's see. I don't know who gets a coaching role.
I mean, to be honest, if Shahid Afridi is chief of selector, I don't see him being appointed reporting into Hafiz. That's not happening. And which is sad, because I don't think how you structure the team should depend on who the person in the role is. But I'm just saying what will happen, not what should happen here. Omer, any thoughts on what Omer is saying?
Yeah, so Hafiz is always known as the wise one amongst the Pakistan cricketing fraternity, right? Professor, huh? So maybe there is some thought to this madness. Me personally, I'm not a huge fan of taking somebody who you were playing cricket with yesterday to now all of a sudden managing the
and
same
if I can
cricketers.
Just add also somebody who's actually played with a lot of people, and he will have good and bad relationships he will bring into the role.
Correct. A lot of people captained this guy just a couple of years ago, right? So I mean, who knows how those relationships are, and it's never, I think, the best thing to do. So I think there's a bit of an issue there. And again, what are his credentials, right? Has he been in a coaching role? Has he been in an administrative role? I think the
team calls him professor. What more do you want?
कुदरत का निजाम is happening, right?
उससे बेहतर ज्ञान कोई नहीं देता, ब्लैक बोर्ड पे खड़े होके
यार
I mean हम लोग प्रोफेसर तो उसी को कहते हैं ना जो बस बोलने का शौक होता है.
If I can just add, Babar Azam failed in this World Cup as a batsman, underperformed, absolutely yes. He averaged 40. I don't think any of these guys sitting on TV Hafiz, Shoaib, Malik, any of these guys have ever averaged 40 in an ODI World Cup. I don't think they have. I'm pretty sure they haven't, right? And this is Babar. So I just putting some context into who is going to be managing who and who's going to be making these calls.
Yeah,
But
forget these guys. Even Inzamam al-Haq has not averaged 40 in an ODI World Cup.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
True.
And wait, director of cricket, yeah, this is not a simplistic. If he was just a batting coach, I could still live by it, right?
And that's a stepping stone then, right, for you?
Coach.
Yeah.
Director of cricket is a very administrative, like you said, it's managing the entire cricket structure within the country.
Yeah.
Strong administration skills. You should already demand a lot of respect. You need strong credentials to come in, and people need to believe in what you're saying. So, I don't really see it end too well here, unfortunately.
It just seems to be more, I think creating a more of a mess, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, essentially, right? By removing Babar Azam at this point.
Having said that, Mickey Arthur being director of cricket and not really living in the country and also doing a part-time, full-time job, really coaching another team wasn't working either.
Sure.
So I think it had to be changed.
Like I said, I have a lot of time
I
for
know
Mickey,
the world is moving,
but I wouldn't have done that. Like that structure was just having a structure just to accommodate one person never makes sense.
Yeah, one question I need an answer to, I don't know if we can answer it, is our head coach in the World Cup was our fielding coach when Mickey was our coach, if you guys recall that, right? And that was a short stint when Pakistan's fielding was just a world-class level for that small instant, right? And then he comes over as head coach. The one minimum I was looking for us to do is, again, be a world-class fielding team. Never happened, and I just don't know how that ends, that happens. But
that structure was just bizarre. Like I think Saud mentioned this on the show a few days ago, but he spoke about this, right? When a coach is talking to his players, a good coach will ask everybody else who's not reporting into him to leave the room before he even speaks. But this Bradburn guy, half the time he's talking to the team, Mickey's in the background, right? So, that's not what director of cricket is not supposed to be in the dressing room. So it was just a really weird structure. And I absolutely agree. In my view, the coaching structure had to change. But it's just the captaincy going along with it, which has become a bit of a problem. But
Shan Masood, I was trying to make sense of this decision, right? And I was like, maybe I remember his statistics wrong. So let me go look at it. And in fact, it was the 28 average that Omer mentioned, very few hundreds along the way. The only thing I could pin it down to was, if you recall the Sri Lanka series specifically, this guy was coming in and playing baseball cricket, right? He was coming in and taking it on to the bowlers. It was a bit weird because we just weren't used to it and nobody around him was playing that way. But that is the only thing I can think of is the message was, hey, we need to play positive cricket. Kaun khelte hai positive cricket? Oh, Shan, is trying to build this new brand of cricket. We need to put him in a leadership role and maybe he's going to do it.
जब Zach Crawley और Ben Duckett जैसे बैट्समैन बास्बॉल खेलते हैं 100-150 रन मारते हैं and run a ball. Shan Masood was hitting 31, 35, 70, 90.
But in 22 balls.
Better than run a ball.
850.
Yeah, ठीक है, fine. I mean, is that what you need in Test cricket?
I mean, it's bizarre. Honestly, makes no sense. Especially, I think, by the way, you had Test team mein, you had options, right? Sarfaraz is in the first 11. Shaheen, we want Shaheen to play Test.
If not Sarfaraz, Rizwan is there, right?
I really wonder why they didn't go with Rizwan across all formats. I really don't understand. I think maybe that power thing.
My sense is that maybe Rizwan was seen as close to Babar.
Yeah. As you said, it's probably that power play as well. They wanted the power to sort of.
And I'm okay with multiple captains because I don't think one captain in the amount of cricket we're playing today, I don't think it was sustainable. But for me, that also worked because Babar was continuing to be my T20 captain, so I wanted that continuity there. But then maybe have a different captain for ODIs and Test cricket.
Also, personally speaking, I feel like I like what England has done where they have separate coaches more than captains. I feel like even that is a good way of going about it because the skill set you also need is very different these days for white ball and for Test matches, right? So I feel like that is also, and also, if you are hiring a coach these days for the whole 12 months, all formats, nobody wants that job because people much rather do these franchise deals and they work very few days and they make a lot of money. So I think if you split it, then you're likely to attract top tier coaches because they will have adequate time off to actually become coach of Pakistan. Sorry, Omer, you were saying.
Yeah. No, I was saying you had mentioned whether Babar was asked or whether he did it of his own accord, but there's just news coming in that he was Zaka Ashraf basically told Babar that he can continue as a Test captain and lead the team in the Test series against Australia, and then that white ball captaincy they're thinking of moving on, so maybe he should resign from that. But then Babar went ahead and resigned from all formats.
Basically, they wanted Babar to go to Australia to play a Test series because they knew what would happen there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're not going to make any more sense of this today, but any parting words on this, Omar? You go first.
Now to think of sort of the path forward, excited to see what Shaheen can do as a captain. My biggest concern there is his lack of first class experience in a 4-day format or 5-day format in general. So yeah, he might be a good captain at the PSL level, but what kind of experience is he giving? But he's shown some good potential, so excited to see what he can bring to the party there. T20. Sorry, Shan Masood and on the Test cricket side, right? And then we don't know what we'll expect there. But on the T20 side, Shaheen again, yeah, he's got good performances in PSL, so hopefully he can translate that into it. I think the core players will remain the same. So hopefully there's no power struggle there. And I mean, Babar doesn't seem like the guy, right? And hopefully we just continue to see him be, blossom into this amazing batsman.
Lots of people have been talking about tweeting in favor of Babar and, I guess, thanking him for his efforts. Azhar Ali said something interesting. He said, hope to see you back as captain one day. And I'm like, what is Azhar Ali smoking? But then I figured, अगर 10 साल बाद ज़का अशरफ और अज़म सेठी वापस आ सकते हैं तो बाबर आजम क्यों नहीं आ सकते? But Umair, parting thoughts on this?
Yeah, I would like to wish Shan Masood and Shaheen Afridi the best of luck in their this new phase going forward. Hoping Shaheen does well, hoping he doesn't break down, hoping we don't lose Shaheen, the all-format strike bowler that we have. What I intrigued about is who they're going to name vice captain for both the Test and the T20 teams, because that will be very important. Because Shaheen at some point will need to take a break. And when he takes that rest, who leads Pakistan? And I hope that doesn't cause confusion. But let's hope Shaheen can bring in some, newfound energy into this white ball team, and let's see how they fare. And also hoping to see Babar Azam become the great that he's primed to be, or that he was and just lost his form. But yeah, let's hope we start to see a few more Babar hundreds more regularly now that he's left the captaincy and can be away from all of this.
Yeah. And I guess this is my last thought is that, these cricket board chairmen, they need to understand that people who watch cricket because of the players, not because of the chairmen. आज से कुछ साल बाद शायद ज़का अशरफ और नज़म सेठी को कोई याद नहीं करेगा. Nobody will have anything nice to say about them. But hopefully you will all look at Babar Azam as the best batsman who ever played for Pakistan. So a sad day for Babar. I feel sad for him at a personal level. But again, I hope he goes on to become the best batsman Pakistan has ever seen. And I feel like he is on his way to be doing that. So I guess we'll be back with some more reaction, and as we absorb as more news comes out in a few days with this topic. But in the meantime, stay tuned to the shiny side.